Hello, you're listening to Podcrashed, the podcast that can be a bit of a train wreck. Each week your hosts Anna and April sit down with a different guest to talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of all things random. We hope you enjoy the show.
Shut up, and sit down.
I see your shirt. It says "Winter is Coming," right? Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And it just makes me think of that song that they used to make sing in choir class during Christmas, which was "Christmas is Coming." So I was just like, "Winter is coming, hallelujah." You ever seen that song? Winter is coming, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Oh, is that what that? I didn't.
Christmas. No, it's they take the hallelujah. That's another song.
Oh, okay.
And then they just put it with Christmas time.
Oh,
because there's nothing like Christmas at a public school to make you sing all kinds of religious songs. I mean, there was too many, in my opinion, too many religious songs in choir class anyway. They always came out.
Were they religious?
Most.
I thought it was always just kind of.
No, we sang a bunch of
Christmassy.
We sang Christmas ones, but a lot of Christmas ones are religious. But we also sang a fair amount of biblical hymns and stuff. Like we sang Joshua fit the Battle of Jericho.
Oh.
That was a classic that if you were in a choir in middle school, you sang Joshua fit the Battle of Jericho, which always annoyed me because I was like, well, what does fit mean? It means fight. Well, why can't you just say Joshua fought the Battle of Jericho? It's the same syllables.
It's Old English.
Ugh. Old schminglish.
Gotta get that old... that
Not
old-timey
interested.
English feeling.
I'm not about the past. I'm about the future, baby. There's a Katya line that's there's
the
no
future where we'll be saying, "Oh, Trump, you are
Shut up!
so
Don't bring up he who shall not be named. No, there's a Katya quote that's I don't bother looking in the past. I also don't bother looking in the future. That's why I close my eyes when I skateboard. I'm just I'm to live my life that way.
Okay.
Or if you got one foot in the past and one foot in the future, you're pissing on today. That's another one. So,
Okay.
I don't know what it means. It came to mind.
Spread eagled and
Yeah, just pissing on today.
pissing on today. I would think it would be something like getting fucked by today.
Oh, well. I don't know.
Taking it just,
You could incorporate both if you really want to.
there are some weird fetishes out there.
I don't know. When you start to look at the overall spectrum of fetishes, I would beg to say that piss play is probably not even the tip of the iceberg of the weird ones.
God, no. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's one thing. What is it? I think it's called a Cleveland steamer.
Oh,
or something,
yeah.
Where it's you crap on them.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
There's a rusty trombone.
How is that?
There's the Colorado Bulldog. That's not a real one. I made that one up. Well,
Colorado Bulldog.
It was the name of a drink at a TGI Fridays, and I thought it sounded like a sex act. So we were trying to come up. I don't remember what we came up with as the actual definition. Stop staring at my. Okay, I don't know what we came up with the definition of, but I still think it sounds like a sex act. So I throw it in to see if anyone notices.
It sounds like one. I mean, you can make anything sound like a sex act.
Well, to get a sex act, you pretty much just you can take any town or city or state and put something with it, like a Cleveland steamer.
Yeah. A messy Michigan.
Right.
Messy Manhattan.
Messy Manhattan. the Utah wheelbarrow. I mean, you just take an object in a state, mash it together.
And you got a sex act.
Alaskan oil drill.
Okay.
Right?
That sounds like one.
That is not what we were talking about, though, this episode.
No, but I really want, if anyone else can think of some random ones.
We should do one where we just take a random object and a random, location. And you have to draw them and then immediately come up with
what kind of
sex act they would be. I mean, we could...
Future episode!
Right? Oh, look forward to what's coming up. No, but this episode specifically, we are going to talk about Black Panther.
The Black Panther.
The Black Panther, because, you know, you need two white women talking about the Black Panther.
Yes, you do. What's more American?
Yeah. But we both saw it opening weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. Did you?
I loved it. That was pretty good.
Right?
Yeah.
It was really hyped because it had really good reviews, and everyone was like, this is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person I know went to see it. Even people who I don't think go to the movies a lot went to see it.
Really?
And everybody made sure that social media knew that they went to go see it.
Oh.
So everyone posted a million tags with them at the theater watching it, posted pictures of them with their black friend, saying, hey, we went to see Black Panther. I was like, would they not let you buy a ticket?
We brought Token with us.
Yeah, right? Did they not let you buy a ticket if you didn't bring a black person with you? I wish that...
We got 3/5 off the price. Oh! Sorry.
All right. Well, the reason... One of the things...
That's so horrible.
One of the good things about Justin not being here is hopefully this will not get racist. Since we are talking about...
Check that off the...
a historical film. Because, according to... Okay, this is the Hollywood Reporter, and it was published today. Says Black Panther climbs to a historic $242 million weekend.
Hey.
So, according to this, it says...
That's just... I feel like other movies have opened for more.
No, it says it debuted with a record-shattering $242 million on the President's Day box office, according to the most recent updates. It says it passed Star Wars: The Last Jedi, which earned $241.6 million.
Ooh.
And it's for 4-day opening weekend. To make it the first movie in history in the North American box office to make that much money. However, they think that if you factor in Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and you include in inflation, which wouldn't be that much because it's only been 2 years since that one opened.
Yeah.
That would technically would hold the record. But either way, it says also scored the biggest Monday in history with $40.2 million, besting The Force Awakens, which only had $40 million on its opening weekend.
Oh, dang.
So, yeah. So,
It's pretty good.
Yep. It broke the record for the biggest
Well, I mean, it's Marvel,
Right.
and it's all, it was all, black actors. Like, there were, 2 white people in it?
I understand it was a big epic and there was a lot of build because it had a built-in audience because he was in the Avengers and all this stuff. However, I'd like to think that maybe this will knock a couple of studios in the head and be like, hey, you can sell a film that has a predominantly black cast or a predominantly cast of color that's not a Tyler Perry movie and make money.
Yeah.
So maybe this will kind of set off a chain reaction of them making more movies, giving black directors more options to make movies, because Ryan Coogler, who made it, he's got a pretty good streak going because he made Creed, which got a bunch of awards.
Okay.
He made Fruitvale Station, which wasn't a huge box office hit, but got a lot of awards. So all 3 of which had Michael B. Jordan in it.
Oh.
Which, I don't know about you, but he's the reason I went and saw it this weekend.
He's pretty fine.
He was a really good villain. I liked him a lot. He was a good balance of I felt a little sorry for him, but he was still kind of crazy.
I almost thought at the end of the movie, after he'd gotten stabbed and he's basically dying, I thought, that was going to be a turning point where they're like, okay, we see where you're coming from. Let's work together.
You're my cousin, so and if you're willing to, and I thought about that too, but then I thought, no, because I bet you he even knows, which is why I think he, was willing to die at the end. He knows he's never going to let it go. You know what I mean? I think he was aware, and I think Black Panther was aware that, he'd be constantly monitoring him to make sure he didn't lose it again.
Yeah.
And, even though optimistically I wanted to be like, yeah, we're cousins, let's hang out, and we'll find a way to work together.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I want to do that now.
Yeah, but then also his beliefs weren't just to get the resources of Wakanda to the rest of the world. It was so that they could take over the rest of the world. So he definitely had the dreams of becoming a dictator to the world. Yeah, which I think was over to the extreme of the idea.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. Yeah, where he wanted to more. He did, yeah. Instead of just giving people resources to bring third world countries out of third worldness.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Up to first worldness.
Up to first worldness.
Or second worldness. Are there second world countries?
I imagine
most countries are second world. Do we just not say it?
I guess, like, I've never heard of the term second world country. It's
Right.
always third world or
first world.
First world.
But there's got to be an in-between, because first world is like ones that have a lot of power and money. And then third world are ones that can barely keep their people alive. And I would imagine most countries exist in the middle. Right? Because there's a lot of fucking countries in this world.
Yeah.
It's like 197 or something. Just Googling it.
I am Googling it.
She's unspecific search engineing it.
I am search engineing it.
She's Binging it. Remember Bing?
Bing?
Bing. It was a search engine they tried to make
Bing.
a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's still a thing.
Gonna Bing it.
When you want to Google it, Bing it.
Bing it. If Google doesn't work, Bing. It says second world refers to the former communist, socialist, industrial states.
Huh.
So today, Russia, Eastern Europe, like Poland.
Our second world?
Yeah, and some of the Turk states.
So
like
all the stands?
Kazakhstan,
Yeah.
as well as China.
Oh.
So it's whoever used to be communist, socialist.
Really? All right.
So I guess if they're still communist
Then
and socialist, then they're still, like, technically second world.
All right. I guess I never thought... I guess there's more of a definition of first world and third world than I thought there was then, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But... Okay.
I guess it's third world technically would still use monarchies, maybe? Like functioning monarchies?
Possibly like princes and kings and stuff.
Yeah, instead of, like, England has that, but it's more of a...
It's a figurehead, not really, because they have a parliament, so they don't let the queen actually make decisions anymore.
Yeah, so maybe...
They have a term for it, too, where it's a combo of the two. But yeah, well, there's African countries that have, like, dictatorships and stuff. Do those count as third world, then? Or are they second world?
Because, like, it seems like dictator is kind of a step... It seems pretty close to a monarchy.
Yeah,
because monarchies, the king, you have one person deciding everything.
Right, a royal
dictatorship
head.
is one person who's not royal technically, but they decide everything.
Well, they take it by force, I think.
Yeah.
That would have to get into the whole definition of what a dictator is, though, which this is not a lesson in whatever that is.
Sociology or
This is
government?
Public education at work.
Social
folks.
studies?
I took one class that covered Africa for like 2 weeks, so I don't know a lot about it.
I don't think
I think I know a fair amount of the countries, though. Like, I think compared to the average person, I bet if you set the average American down, asked them to label Africa, I probably would be at the higher percentage of people would be able to get stuff.
I think the only country I would be able to get right is South Africa.
Because it's at the very
This
bottom.
is the very bottom.
What country, I would say there are two. Name one of the two countries that are in South Africa. Did you know there are two countries in South Africa? Like, within the country? Swaziland is one of them. And
See, I didn't know that.
I cannot tell you the other one. Yeah, South Africa and Italy are the only two, to my knowledge, the only two countries in the world that have countries within them, because Italy has Vatican, which is its own country.
Oh,
Vatican
right.
City. Mm-hmm. Which is why the legal age of consent is 13. Did you know that?
Of course it is.
And then,
Hey.
and then Africa has Swaziland and another one that I don't know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, Canada does... Those are provinces.
They have provinces.
Those are kind of like their own little...
Well, it's like their version of states.
Country within a country.
But they're not separated. The country implying they have their own separate government than the country that they're in.
Okay.
So, I don't know how that became to be, because I never studied South Africa and how it became what it is now and all that stuff, but...
Interesting.
Well, there's the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Congo. Two separate countries. There's, like, the ones everyone knows, but I don't know if you'd be able to label, like, Chad, Nigeria, Egypt.
I could probably name some.
Yeah.
I can't label them, though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sorry.
I know a lot of the big ones in
Sorry,
the middle.
Africa.
There's a bunch on the coast that I could tell you the names, but couldn't tell you where they were, including, well, except for Sierra Leone, because I did a project on that one.
Oh.
So I know exactly where that one is, but that's it.
All right.
It's only because it's in the little crevice of the
Okay.
scoop. So it's like, it's right in there.
Okay.
But,
Anyway, Black Panther.
it's kind of on topic because we're talking about Africa. Okay, so
Kinda.
they exist in a fictional country called Wakanda, which, do they imply where it's at in Africa? It's kind of in the center, right? Isn't it supposed to be kind of in centralized?
I kind of had the feeling that it was kind of like in the Congo.
Yeah, kind of a little
little
bit
bit.
towards the bottom center.
Yeah.
Because they had a bit where they go into the map, didn't they, at the beginning?
Yeah.
Because they show you, because their thing is they protect it, so people think it's just a forest.
They camouflage it, yeah.
So they think the country's just poor people, and then they camouflage it, which... Question. So, and I don't... Obviously, it's rhetorical. I don't expect you to actually know an answer. But, like, so... To the outside world, Wakanda is just like a typical African country of people living in huts and having to walk miles for water. And there is a really dense forest, which is hiding the actual Wakanda where all the stuff is.
Yeah, where the dense forest or dense jungle is actually the camouflage, where underneath the camouflage, that's actually like a valley.
And it's like a big city with industry and all this technology. Does that mean that the people who live in the external parts of Wakanda, that the regular world does, are actual, like, people, like, how do they know that this place exists, or are they, because then it just seems unfair that they are part of this country, but yet they are forced to live on the outskirts.
I think, well...
Are they not aware that this part of Wakanda exists? And they just think they do think it's like a typical country.
Well, no, I think the
one tribe.
The one tribe lives outside of the borders.
And they're just fine living outside of this industry because they live like...
Yeah, well, because they can still go in.
That's true, and they do have the technology, as we learned at the end from the tapestries that they wear.
Yeah, so they still have a bit of the technology, and like even like the one tribe that lives up in the mountains, I don't think they don't seem to have a whole lot of technology.
No, they're vegetarians. I got that from the one scene.
Yeah.
And their representation is the gorilla.
Yep.
The one's representation is the rhino.
Yeah.
Because they're raising rhinoceri.
Rhinos, yep.
Rhinoceroses?
I don't know who the other one... Because
there's the one
five tribes?
There's 5 tribes. 4 that like each other, and the 5th one who isn't interested. They don't want to have fun.
Yeah.
Right?
They don't, like, want to be under their rule.
So the only ones you come into contact with are the main ones that's running the country that the prince is from.
Yep.
The ones in the mountains, the ones in the fields outside.
Yeah.
Do we meet, other than the scene where they ask if anyone challenges, do we meet anybody other than the representatives?
No,
Lupita Nyong'o's from one of them, because she keeps hanging out with that dude with the saucer in his mouth. So I assume she's from another tribe, right?
Yeah.
So they must be whatever that one is. I don't want to simplify things, because I understand there's a whole method to this, but I kind of wish they all had, like, separate colored outfits or something.
Yeah,
it'd make it a little, or like how the one had where he put the panther mask on and the dude put the monkey mask on.
Yeah,
like maybe if they all wore some sort of representation of the animals,
an animal that they identify
it'd make it a little easier, I think, to tell the difference between them.
Maybe it's because like the rhino guys, like because they accept the rule of the Black Panther, like they don't really have an animal really that's like their thing.
Yeah, except the rhino.
I think that's just... It would be like them raising horses.
I bet you they explain it in the comics.
Probably.
Have to actually...
Need a comic book person here to...
Right? Someone who knew Black Panther before the movie.
Yeah. But I don't know if like that's like their totem animal as much as the gorilla is for the mountain tribe.
I kind of wish they all had a totem animal, though, because I think it would be easier to understand.
But I was thinking, like, maybe the mountain people have their own totem animal because they want to be distinctly different from the panther rule, where it's like, no, that's not our god.
Were
the
ones in the mountain the ones that didn't want to get along, though, or is that a whole separate tribe?
No, like, they're the ones that they didn't want to get along, or they didn't...
that's why he was originally the one who challenged him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're going to come down and try and take over.
Yeah.
Because we don't, like... I don't know why. It didn't really say why they didn't want to be...
They just didn't want to be told what to do. They wanted to have someone... Which they have even though it's a monarchy, there's representations from each of the tribes. Mm-hmm. And they meet with, like, a council, it looks like.
Yeah.
So they have the ability to be like, oh, I don't think this is a good idea. And I imagine majority rules, even if the prince... Even if the king does have the final say. It's
probably one of those things where it's just like, he's not our king. He's not of our people. Yeah. So we don't agree with it. But,
right.
But still. I don't know.
I guess, man, living in a country where you're just angry at people who aren't like you.
Oh.
That must be weird.
What's that like?
To have a majority who doesn't want someone from another place telling them what to do. Though, did you catch that line about the refugees?
No, what was that?
He said the thing about bringing in refugees is bringing in their problems with them. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow. I mean, I'm not saying that's not wrong, but I'm like, oh, that's a little...
Bring in refugees, they bring their problems, and then we're like the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which there was a couple of instances like that, because which part of me really liked that part of the story was that internal battle of, like, they both sides had a point of that idea that, like, it's not up to us to take care of the world. And if they found out what we had, they'd take advantage of us, which I completely understand.
Yeah.
But then the other part was like, you're right, there's tons of people out there that are having problems, and if even a fraction of them can be solved by just giving them
there's people suffering, we can at least end the
which,
help
I mean,
and end the suffering.
they were sitting on a huge stockpile of this stuff, right? This vibranium.
Yeah.
So
and the bad guy had said, like, they've been mining it for 30 years.
And there's tons left.
However many years, and they haven't even made a dent in it.
Yeah,
so.
and it's that idea that, like, I mean, it doesn't mean that suddenly that every part of the world has to have, you know, hover trains or whatever technology.
Yeah.
But if you could take this stuff, like the healing abilities, where they put that little bit in what's-his-name's back, and it helps him until they can fix his spine.
Like, stabilized him, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, even if you can just take it and just give it to people to use to help people who are dying. Little something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is tricky. I'm interested to see how they're going to handle that in the next few movies that they have with this character, of how we could exist in a world like this, like what the world would do if they found out that this little country in Africa had all these resources, or how they're going to, like, try to tell the world that they have resources without trying to give away everything.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem, too, because once you tell everyone else that you have something that they want, they're going to just come in and get it. Or, like, they're gonna have I can completely see the United States in the movies, the United States government being like, oh, you're sitting on this whole cache of weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah,
so
they could say that
we
they
gotta
could
come
use
in
it,
and,
even though they've had it forever and haven't used it yet.
Yeah, so I can totally see them being like, well, we need to come in and take all those from you guys. You guys can't have this.
Yeah, well, they would have to, as a country, find a way to trick the rest of the world into, like, I think they would have to stage it in a way that it looked like they, like, had a little bit of stuff, but it was, I don't know, they'd have to,
like, slowly release stuff?
or, like, set it up in a way where they even if they didn't use the materials, they were able to, like, give money or something to the world without making it look like they had this abundance of it.
Yeah.
Because, people would take advantage of that real quick.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I get it, it's an American movie, it's an American comic, so that scene at the end where he's like, no, I bought all this block up, and this is going to be the first outreach center or whatever in Los Angeles, and I'm thinking, you live in the center of Africa. If anything, I would just start spreading outward.
Yeah, start.
You know what I mean?
Start
like
in Africa.
Even if they didn't get anywhere else in the world, helping the other countries in Africa, I think would be a huge step. And I would venture to bet that the other countries in Africa would be like, yeah, you can help us and we won't tell anybody anything. You know what I mean? I think if anybody would understand not to blow the whistle.
Or I could see them being pissy about it. Like, how about you help here at home before going to America?
Yeah.
Like, America doesn't need as much help as we do, bud.
No, yeah. I was like, they're all right. I would start here in Africa, maybe go to the Middle East and South Pacific area where there's, like... Yeah.
I mean... On the other hand,
South
I can kind of see, like, why he started there, because it's like, this is where our cousin, suffered so much and saw so much and whatnot, so let's fix, in, like, his memory, let's do it.
Right,
here.
for him.
Yeah.
And maybe, like, name it after him or whatever, even though Killmonger, I know it was his nickname, but I'm like, which I'm glad, because when I saw the name in the thing, I was like, well, he can't not be a villain with a name like Killmonger. Yeah. I get why it's a nickname, right? But, well, I'm curious, because he was a really smart guy. He had a whole plan. He was able to do all this.
They said he went to, like, MIT and stuff,
And I'm thinking, okay, well, he grew up, and I assume in the LA county school system, which I'm not going to, obviously I didn't have the greatest education, but I imagine being such a poor area does not have the strongest school system, which means he was probably inherently very intelligent, which makes me wonder... Is there something about that country that makes people who live there very smart? Because the sister was really smart. Even the people who weren't, like, geniuses were really intelligent. And I'm, like, wondering if it's something about the country itself is...
I think it has something to do with the vibranium.
Yeah.
Whatever, because everyone from there has a glowing lip tattoo.
Yeah.
basically. So I wonder if that kind of gets into their
bloodstream
DNA, something, and like has helped them along, because
yeah.
the flower or whatever gives them superhuman. My nose is running.
Yeah, which they
superhuman abilities and like powers and stuff like that. But
which again says something about their country, because they never allude to anybody trying to steal that. Because if anyone can take it, and they just save it for whoever the king is, and then there's nobody breaking in from other tribes trying to take it.
Yeah, or no one just in the city. Yeah, they never talk about any crime in that city.
No, they don't talk about
they have
any
like
sort
their
of
own utopia.
Which is crazy that even a country that's, I mean, I get it, it's well developed, people don't want for anything, but I would venture to say that would cause more crime because people would have less to lose. When you're focused on living your daily life and trying to feed yourself and feed your family and live and be safe, you're focused on that, and you only commit crimes when you have to. But when people are complacent and they don't have a lot to worry about, I would venture to say more things would happen. Because people would get cockier, they would get more like, we need more. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But maybe obviously this society has figured it out. Kind of like, you don't have to...
Well, and then like the only person that, like, the only criminal that turned against them was a white man.
Yep.
It was the first one-armed dude. Claw?
Was he...
Claw?
Klaus?
Carl?
We'll tell him Carl. Was he from... No, was he
one-armed Carl over there.
Was he supposed to be African? Because he had an odd accent. Like, I thought he was supposed to be Cockney at first because it's or Andy Serkis, who's British. Mm-hmm. But part of... Like, sometimes when he spoke, I was like, oh, maybe he's supposed to be, like, South African or something.
Maybe, but... I don't know.
Because he obviously knew about the country, and it sounded like he'd been there. Yeah.
Well, like, right in the beginning, they say, Carl? I don't know what
I'll look it up.
I think it's Craw.
Craw. I just want to call him Claw because he was missing a hand. like Dr. Claw from Dr. Inspector
Claw.
Gadget.
The first white guy, the one-armed bandit, he,
Wasn't me, it was the one-armed man.
Like, right in the beginning, they say, oh, he broke out, or he escaped, and he stole...
Yeah, it's Claw, but it's Klau.
Okay. Claw, he, like, escaped, so they must have had him in prison or something like that, but then he stole a bunch of vibranium and escaped out of the camouflage net, or whatever.
Yeah.
So... But then the sister says, oh, great, another white man that we can fix. So, like, I wonder if they found Claw hurt or whatever like that and brought him in to their culture, and he saw that. And then he's like, oh, white people need this, whoever needs this.
He obviously knew because the brother was the mole. He told him about it. Mm. So maybe he told him he went over there to disguise himself as someone who needed help and stole it from there.
Maybe, yeah. I don't remember hearing too much about his backstory, just that he stole. Yeah,
it was a real brief. Well, for a 2-hour and 15-minute movie, there was some parts were real skimp.
Real brief, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. Though I do think it was paced pretty well because we got a fair amount of lead up of like him in the country and like dealing with his dad's death and trying to become king, and I kind of wanted a little bit more of Michael B. Jordan's backstory. Just, like, we got that little bit of, like, yeah, he killed his dad, and he was sad, and he went into the armed forces, and he scarred himself, right?
Yeah, it was for everyone that he killed.
Because originally I thought, okay, maybe he had the scarring, maybe it was a genetic thing because of where he was from, but then there was those clips of him in combat, and he had no, like, a sleeveless shirt, and he had no scars on his arm. So I'm like, oh, he legit scarred himself.
Yeah, well, I think he said it was for every kill that he made. I thought
that was just like a line he would say, like, but I guess it must be true.
I think so.
But that was a long con. That was a long con.
Yeah.
Because granted, he's not that old. He's probably in his late 20s, early 30s, but still, that much time to like learn everything and get all this training and get the understanding of how to overthrow governments. Like,
he knows how to play the long game.
Not to mention when he finally got there, he said he had like people set up all over the world ready for this technology. So he had to like gather all that information, convince those people that this country had this stuff and they just had to hang out till he got to it. Like, that's really... It's rain.
Dang. Loud rain. Sorry.
Like rain on
Yes.
your podcast day.
Nice rainy day. Yeah, well, I guess when he said, like, he had spies everywhere, I thought that was maybe just his connections through the CIA, because...
Does that mean that the CIA were his spies?
I think, because, well, he was working with the CIA.
That's what they said.
He got training from them.
Yeah, and I understand that's, like, but obviously he must have gone rogue. Because I can't imagine even the CIA okaying that mission that he went on.
Oh, no, I don't
Especially
think so.
since the Martin Friedman character was like, knew him, but didn't like know anything about what he was doing.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh yeah, he was this guy and he did this. And
Yeah.
though he knew a lot about him, like, he must either be really well known or like, I thought the point of the
sounds like it.
I thought the point of the CIA was he didn't tell, like, nobody really knew a lot about you except for who was ever in charge. Like, I don't think they are like that chummy with each other.
Well, still, I mean, he can, like, go do a database search and get
That's true.
background on him.
But he didn't have to. He just already knew it. Because they had no time. Because he got shot the first time he showed up. And then by the time... Wow, that is really loud.
Sounds so pretty.
Yeah.
Like a rain stick.
We were talking about it. I bet you can't even hear it.
Probably not. Looking back, like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's just... I don't know. Like any movie, wasn't without its flaws, but overall, I thought it was a really strong movie.
Yeah, definitely. There was definitely a point where I was watching it, and I was like, man, I'm digging all these, like, hardcore women. Just like...
Yes, I've never wanted to be bald more in my life.
Yeah, right?
There's just this...
Where
army is just these strong, powerful, bald black women with these spears.
Yeah, where that, like, hit me where I'm like, okay, like, this is a very, like... Phone's going off.
Yeah.
This is very, like, empowering movie for
women.
Like, black people, but then also women, because who are his protectors?
Yeah, his entire
Who is
army.
his entire army and guard?
His strongest
whole bunch of
fighter
women.
is a woman. Like, she's just going around helping people.
The general, yeah, is
And
a
they
woman.
never make a point to talk about it. It's normalized for their society.
Yeah.
It's never, even in the scene where they end where they're fighting the one tribe and they're mostly men, even though there were women in there, it never is like, it's not a single line where they're like, say anything about the, about
yeah,
the
you're
women.
a woman, I can beat you.
Or like, come here, little girl, or any of those, like, trippy lines that they often put in action movies when women fight.
Yeah. It was all completely, like, equals, where it's like, they're equally as dangerous to anyone.
But I want to see a movie that's them and the women from the Wonder Woman Island.
Ooh.
Just
if they could meet?
Just kicking ass and taking names.
Definitely.
We had a society run by those women, Hillary would have won president. I'm just saying. Women taking charge. Yeah, I really liked
There'd be all sorts of peace in the world, but there'd also be a lot of stony cold silence.
Yeah. Well, they're women warriors, which means they're tough. And they're not women, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they're more.
Though because I thought there was going to be more, because it's laid out, it's mentioned specifically that the head warrior, the general, is in a relationship with the head of the one tribe.
Yes.
Who then, like, disagrees with her, and I thought there'd be like one moment where she'd say something or do something, and he'd be like, "Oh, I gotta get it because my girl." But they never did that, which I kind of appreciated, because I was like, they didn't do that old trope of, like, gotta side with the woman, or she, like, gives him the eye or something. I mean, it got to the point where he didn't kill the person because she stood in front of him, so he, like, still loved her.
Well,
but he just wasn't...
that was the rhino. No, it was the rhino, where the rhino was charging.
Yeah, but he was riding the rhino, and he stopped the rhino.
No, the rhino stopped.
Because she was... Well, that's true.
I don't think he stopped the rhino. It was because the rhino stopped.
So you think he would have just barged right through her?
He's fighting her.
He gave up at the end, though, when he looked at her in the eyes, and he was like, let everyone surrender.
Because she said she was going to kill him.
I like Daniel, what's his name? Kaluuya, the one who was that role, and he was in Get Out and everything. But he's really hard to read, because he didn't have a lot of dialogue, so a lot of it was in his eyes.
Yeah.
And I found it really hard to read that character, and I don't know if it was the actor that it was hard to read, or if that was on purpose, so you couldn't read the character.
I mean, he seemed so flip-floppy.
Yeah, because he was, like, really good friends, and he's like, all I ask is you bring back Dr. Claw there so I can kill him. And he's like, sorry, we didn't bring him back, which I get you're mad, right? Yeah. But at the same time...
Then automatically he, like, switched sides.
Yeah, he's like, no, I think you're right. I think we should... And I'm just like, well, hits a little too close to home, siding with the clearly crazy person, just because you're slightly mad at the person in charge.
Yeah.
I mean, we find ourselves in a particularly similar situation currently, where it's like going in and you're like, oh, if you're a sane person, you realize that 5 or 6 steps down the road, this is not going to end well.
Yeah.
But yet, you still go with this person because you're mad at whoever's in charge. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sure.
But the love thing, I think it was the rhino that stopped because
That's
then it
true.
licked her because it the rhino's her little buddy.
Yeah.
And likes her. And then he only backed down because she's like, no, I will kill you.
Yeah.
This is for my country.
Which, if he's willing to kill her,
you're betraying my king, who I believe in. I will kill you if you get in the
She
way.
never flip-flopped. She was always like, I don't necessarily know if I agree, but I'm royal to this throne specifically.
Loyal to the throne, yeah.
So it's like that idea that like, it was why I never buy like, oh, women can't be in charge, they're too emotional. Because no, the only person that stayed the same the whole movie
was her.
Yeah. And her army. They were the only ones who were like, yeah, we don't like him, but we made a oath to protect whoever's in charge.
And only when, I would say there was kind of a flip-floppy moment, but there's a technicality behind it, because she was, like, guarding the new king.
Yeah.
But then the,
Old king wasn't dead.
Old king wasn't dead and popped up. She's like, no, okay, the challenge is still going.
Yeah, which means...
And it's only when he sent, like, the new king sent the other guys out to go kill the...
Yeah. Well, because according to...
the Black Panther to be like, oh no, you're a coward.
Yeah, because you're cheating at this point.
Yeah, cheating, breaking tradition, so I'm still loyal to...
Yeah.
The king is still the king.
She's a rule follower. She's a stickler for the rules.
She is.
Which is, I can appreciate that.
But yeah, and then, a lot of the women were just awesome at the battling.
Yep.
And the fight scene in the, like, underground casino.
Yep.
Kind of, I was like, dang, like, these two can fight. Like,
yeah. There's
not too often where in movies, like, you get, like, women really, like, battling and getting in there. And, like, doesn't seem like on this level, where they're just kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah. Yeah, the sister who is smart.
Mm-hmm.
They say her character in the comics is the smartest in the entire universe. Like, Marvel Universe, like, she's supposed to be smarter than Tony Stark.
Ooh.
Which I would love. I want to see the two of them next to each other in a scene. Well, did you stay to the end of the credits? Did you see the final scene at the end of the credits, or did you leave?
Yeah, but it didn't make... I mean,
it didn't
the one with Bucky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which... Okay.
It seemed like she was like reprogramming him.
Yeah, I have so many.
It seemed like a love thing.
That's
with them.
the thing too. I'm like, I wonder if they're gonna have a thing now.
It seemed like it.
And I looked and I said this to my sister. My sister's like, "Oh no, I'm still holding out hope for him and Captain America, because if you watch those movies, he goes to. It's like he's in love with Bucky, because he goes so far out of his way to make sure his friend's okay, even when his friend is clearly insane."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, we get it. You love him, but calm down. Like, you're putting so many people at risk. I have a mixed relationship with Sebastian Stan, though, in my opinions of him. Well, because he does these roles where he's supposed to be crazy, but I still like him. But then I'm, like, hesitant every time I see him. I'm like, he's going to be evil somehow. So every time I see an Avengers movie, I see that character and I think, don't trust him. Something's got to happen.
I like him, but something's going to happen. Yeah, even in the one, was it Civil War, I think? That I was just watching when you walked in. Yeah. Where, like, they get him, like, Captain America gets him kind of reprogrammed and evened out again.
Oh, yeah.
But then, like, he's still kind of evil.
I think it's a metaphor for loving somebody with an addiction. Because he's constantly trying to help him and you can tell that there's a part of this person that really wants to be good, but the stronghold of evil, drugs or whatever, is so strong that he can't ever commit, or he keeps being drawn back, but the person just keeps trying, even though everyone around them says, like, give up.
Keep sticking with them.
They're a lost cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bucky is a heroin addict. That's mine.
Okay.
And Captain America is just the love that just wants him to be healthy.
Black Panther.
Black Panther. We're staying in the same universe. Okay, so I did find, like I said, it's not without its issues. So I did find a list on Screen Rant. That's the 15 things that make no sense about the Black Panther.
Okay.
Even though Screen Rant gave
it on me. What is
gave it a very good review, but it just points out a couple of things. Okay. So Nakia, the Lupita Nyong'o, so his ex-girlfriend
Who he's still in love with.
Yes.
And they're still in love. Okay.
Only grabbed one heart-shaped orb. Or herb. So in the scene where he tells him to burn all the things because he's going to be the last king, she literally just grabs one.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying she, like, had to run the risk of getting caught, but there were, like, a couple in each batch. She could have, like,
Well, I mean, she was sneaking in, and, like, they're kind of... I thought it was, like... I kind of thought that, too, like, why didn't she grab more? But they're kind of spread out, where, like, there's not, like, a whole bushel of flowers in one spot. Like, she'd have to go a few more feet.
Right.
Like, 5 feet.
But if she grabbed a couple extra, they could plant them and harvest them. Now she uses the one to save him. Which she was going to give to the one guy anyway. That was my foot.
Oh.
Cracked when I moved it. Sorry. Anyway. Okay. Black Panther leaves his tech in a field.
What?
Let's see. Wakanda King has always opted to isolate themselves from the rest of the world. Even though it is steadfastly opposed to any technology reaching the outside world, he actually leaves it in numerous locations. So it's talking about how, like, he comes in on an aircraft and just leaves it places while he does this thing. Right? There's no, like, system to cover it. Well, in the end, he drops it in the middle of Compton. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Now he wants to go forth and tell more of the world.
And then the kids are talking about scrapping it off apart.
But he's literally showing it to a group of 12-year-olds on the street. This is a hover plane. That even 12-year-olds on the street are going to know that's not something that we know exists. Mm-hmm. You know, like, yeah.
Well, that was the only time where, like, any other time, it has the camouflage thing. So I would assume they just kind of drop him off quickly. And then...
I don't know. He says at the top, at the beginning when he's stopping the Nigerian militia that's kidnapped all those women, he leaves the vibranium tech on the cars for anyone to find. So when they leave, he leaves those things he drops in the cars, he just leaves them there. I mean, he could have grabbed him and we just didn't see it, but...
Do they can they deactivate though? Like, I didn't, like, it wasn't glowing or anything.
But he would
at all.
leave a scrap of that, which means people could find it and try to figure out what it is.
Oh.
I think that's what they mean. Like, he leaves bits of stuff
Okay.
around. How did he survive the fall from the waterfall?
Waterfall? He landed in the water.
If he had his power stripped, and he participate in the duel, he's badly defeated and deeply wounded. He's thrown off a massive cliff and ends up falling down a waterfall hundreds of feet below. So somehow he's fine, because even though he's human, he didn't bleed out. And he survives the fall. I don't know.
Well, he wasn't, like...
Even if he didn't hit rocks, he would hit that water going real fast. He would have broken some bones.
Well, they said he was in a coma.
Which is just when someone's alive, but you can't wake him up. Because they don't have
I mean, it's like, can be from, like, extreme damage.
But they don't know he's in a coma because they live in the mountains. They don't have the technology.
I think they're still smart enough to know what a coma is.
I'm just saying, does a coma mean that he's alive but you can't wake him up? If you came across somebody who was alive and you couldn't wake him up, would you say, oh, they're in a coma? Is that
not
just
immediately.
The external assessment that you would make? I'm not saying...
No, it would be they're not responsive.
Okay, so...
I wouldn't automatically
how would you know if they're in a coma then if you had no medical...
I'd go get a doctor and say,
no,
hey, is this
that's
person in a coma?
They live in the mountains.
They still have doctors. It's not like all the doctors live down in the valleys.
All right.
Tribe, like...
Either doctors are out, the monkeys.
Third world tribes still have shamans and medicine men.
Okay, well, maybe this has something to do. It says the snow keeps him alive. It says after he's thrown off the cliff, they find him, they put him in the snow. M'Baku surprises them and shows up that he's there. It says after they discovered by a fisherman, he put him in a pile of snow. But then he says that if they move him from the snow, he'll die. So is a special kind of snow?
No, I think just because snow slows down your bodily functions, so it slows down the beating of his heart so he doesn't bleed out.
It says, while it's true that cooling a body will restrict blood flow, there's no reason that snow should keep a king alive. I didn't write the article. I'm just pointing it out. I like to think that maybe there's something with the snow. Maybe that's their thing.
I saw a logical reason behind it. Sorry.
I don't nitpick movies. I just enjoy them.
I just like them. Sorry.
Okay, it said, how did Killmonger know that the artifact in the museum at the beginning was vibranium?
I would assume he
knew, and he must know enough about it. Or someone told him. Like maybe, what's his, Claw there?
Maybe. Didn't he, how did he say that he knew about it?
Well, look at Lee, he says, what is this? And Lee says, it's such and such from this tribe. And he goes, no, it's vibranium for Wakanda. And she's like, what? Mm-hmm. Like, he just says he knows it. And it turns out he's right.
Maybe there's like a special way to tell, or it gives off some kind of vibe.
That he gets because he's from there? Mm-hmm. It's true. Maybe there's like one line. They cut it, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, now you just don't know.
Okay, let's see. How did Killmonger get to Wakanda?
He took a plane.
It is unclear exactly what Killmonger's plan is at first, it says, until he arrives at Wakanda and challenges him. Sure, he had access to Klaus, whatever's plane, and probably learned what a Wakandan geography as a kid from his father's journal. Mm. But that doesn't mean he would know exactly where to go in order to access the country, especially if it's covered. How would he get there? Plus, is it one of those things where, like, maybe he knows from his tattoo, or, like, his tattoo, like, somehow tells him, like, it glows when he gets close or something? Well,
I think, like, it showed when he was in the spirit realm or whatever, like, him as I don't know if, like, there's a memory of him as a kid going and, like, finding notes of his father's and stuff like that. But I would assume, like, he'd gone through all sorts of notes that he'd found of his father's. So, like, a map saying, like, oh, this is how this is. This is what, like, this is how it's protected. These are the people here in this location that are, like, the gatekeepers. Mm-hmm. So I would assume he's like, okay, so I just go to these people. Yeah. Find them, and then they can get me in.
I guess. And he just shows up at the border, and they're like, you know, and they, like, cover, and he's like, no. You know, he shows his lip, and he's like, I got this. And they're like, what's in the bag? Don't worry about it. It's a dead white guy. I gotta show some people in there. Or, obviously, he goes there because he goes to the tribe that's outside of the city first. Mm-hmm. He shows them the dead body. They got him in.
Yeah. Okay. And then the friend is automatically on... The leader is automatically on his side because it's, oh, you killed the guy that I wanted killed. Yeah. You did something that my king couldn't do. You're the worthy king.
Right. Even though clearly crazy. Yeah. Okay, number 8 is Claw. I still want to call him Claus. Claus barely ages. Says the film begins with a flashback to 1992 where you see a picture of him after they said he stole all the stuff.
You saw a picture?
Yeah, they show a picture of him. They're like, the vibranium was stolen by this man. And it shows a picture of him. And he looks exactly the same as he did present day, which is supposed to be almost 30 years later.
Well, maybe...
Similarly, which is funny because
maybe it's the vibranium in his arm.
The original king, the dad there, goes from looking like his son to looking like an old guy, like in the 30 years. Like, clearly, obviously different actor, but you know. But yeah, it just, I don't know the comic that well, but I'd be surprised if maybe, like, it turns out he has got some sort of...
Or, I mean, he just has a very active lifestyle.
He does if he's driving around shooting things out of his arm from moving vehicles. Andy Serkis is the one, you know who Andy Serkis is, right? The guy who plays the Claw character.
Okay.
He does all the whatever terminology is it where they put all the bodysuit on you and you do the motions in it.
Motion capture?
He does all the motion capture for all the Planet of the Apes films.
Really?
He did Gollum for Lord of the Rings. So most of his job is crawling around like a monkey on the ground. And so he's a real he's like a stocky dude, but he's really physically in shape. Huh. Because that's what he does. He does motion capture like all the time. Mm-hmm. Which I was excited to see him as the villain because you usually don't see him on screen like as himself.
I do have to say I loved him as the villain.
Yeah.
I think you've said that already, but yeah, he was the part where after the casino scene, like he comes out and is like, "Oh my god, that was awesome!"
Yeah, he's a good contrast because he's that careless villain that you know will probably end up dead because he's careless.
I didn't see him dying that quickly.
I didn't think Killmonger was going to kill him. I thought he was going to use him a little bit longer. Yeah. Well, he shot his girlfriend real quick. Yeah. So he obviously doesn't care too much about people. True. Which I get, you're sad that your dad was murdered. But still, like, that's really, you almost have to be psychotic.
Sociopath, yeah.
To be, well, and then he blames his cousin for what his father did. Mm-hmm. Like, I can see being mad and wanting to take the throne. But he was, like, I think, unjustifiably angry specifically at the Black Panther. Like, it's not his fault.
Blaming him for his father's sins.
Yeah.
Sins of thy father.
Right. Especially since
whatnot,
he didn't
yeah.
know that that's what his dad did. He didn't even know he had an uncle. Or he knew he had an uncle, but he didn't know he was killed. Anyway.
Yeah, they thought he just disappeared.
It says the Jabari tribe is a vegetarian.
Yeah.
As mentioned. Let me see. They live
I did like that line, though. Like, you don't speak again and I'll feed you to my children.
Yeah, just joking. We're vegetarians.
Well, just feeding him to his children. It's like, ooh.
The Jabari live in a frozen climate that doesn't seem promising for growing plants and vegetables to eat. And they wear fur costumes that must come from animals. So they're obviously wearing animal furs without actually eating the animals.
Maybe they buy the furs.
Maybe. So why? And then it says, and he was caught by a fisherman. But if they're vegetarian, though vegetarians, pescatarians eat fish.
Yeah.
But they didn't say they're pescatarian. They said they're vegetarian.
Well, vegetarian is a very blanket statement.
I think he's just his sense of humor.
Vegetarians can still eat chicken sometimes.
Well, then you're not technically by there's words for all those. So if you're a vegetarian, you eat chicken, you're something else. Just like if you eat fish and you're a vegetarian, you're a pescatarian. Like, technically, even though I have met people who say they're vegetarian and they eat, like, they'll eat meat.
Burgers, yeah.
They just don't like to. Everyone speaks English in Wakanda. There's bits where they talk and they sub it. Mm-hmm. But then when they talk out loud, or to other people, not just when Martin Freeman's there, but like...
Yeah. Well, I think...
Hollywood has a love-hate relationship with other languages. Mm-hmm. Because, one, they're not going to make a superhero movie where the whole thing's subtitled.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing. I'm just saying they won't do it.
Yeah.
So I think when we do get moments where they talk in an actual language, or in this case, a fictional language, which I'm sure is based on an actual language.
I think it'd be like Swahili or something.
Yeah, like I applaud that they even and put that in at some point. Sometimes they'll do that crap where they'll like try to play it off like... Did you ever see Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Mm. And they put the worm in his ear and it translates everything for him?
Yeah.
So sometimes they'll have like things like that where they'll be like, oh no, but when you're here, everything makes sense regardless. Yeah. But I don't try to
I would think that
nitpick that too much.
I would think that it's just them speaking English in the country is more just like us kind of going into their minds a bit. So it's like, okay, this is what they're saying to each other. They're not speaking English to each other. They're speaking in their own language.
Right.
But just so we can understand it and not have to read the entire movie.
Yeah.
They switch it to English.
Which I'm not opposed to a film with subtitles, but you have to watch it multiple times. Because you watch it first to read it, but you miss stuff when you read it.
Yeah.
And then you have to watch it again, remembering what they said, and then watch it. You know, It requires multiple viewings. It says Agent Ross recognized Killmonger immediately, like I said.
Because he's in the CIA.
After both he and Black Panther both set their sights on Claw, Ross gets pulled into the main storyline. Evie becomes the first outsider to see the real Wakanda, unless you think Klaus was there. Klaus. Claw, whatever. Claw. Anyway, more than that, he comes foreign intelligence, yada yada. Okay, my problem was in where he shot... in the scene where they're in the police station or wherever they're interrogating him. Mm. And there are clearly other people there from the government. And he says, you have to let us take him. I'm not saying that... I'm just saying, if it's a government facility, they wouldn't just let somebody, even if he's from another... even if they trust him, take him to another country to fix him. They wouldn't even take... I'm sure the paperwork for that would have been a fucking nightmare. Like, whatever happened to Agent So-and-so? Oh, we just let the guy from Africa take him. Well, we were supposed to do that. Where is he at? I don't know. He got on a plane.
He's in Wakanda, wherever that is.
Yeah, he was clearly going to die quickly, but they did something to him, and now he's fine.
That's a good point, huh?
Yeah, it says, sure, they both have connections to the CIA, but it's unlikely that Ross, a field agent, would have complete knowledge of Killmonger's history. Maybe he reads agent profiles like he's not supposed to, but maybe reads them on his downtime.
I would think so, maybe. Well,
I was really surprised when he's like, oh, he's one of ours. I figured he'd be like, oh, we know that guy. Like, implying, like, something, like, oh, he trained here and this, and then he went rogue, and
he's
now
on our radar.
Yeah. The Wakandans just abandon the Nigerian women after they save them. They just let them run off into the forest.
Yeah, they don't take them home or anything. Maybe they weren't far from home.
It says, how did T'Challa notice Killmonger's ring? He's hanging from his neck. He narrowed in on that sucker real quick. Mm-hmm. Maybe he was looking at his pectoral muscles. He's like, that guy's in shape.
He's ripped.
Oh, hey, look at that ring.
That is something I noticed where, like, when he falls back, he's supposed to, like, it seems like he kind of got put through the ringer a little bit, like his brain's ringing and whatnot, and yet he focuses on this ring.
Yeah, which I get it.
That's a good point.
He's got, like, this fancy strength or whatever, but at the same time, yeah, he zeroes in on that sucker.
You can still get knocked for a loop, yeah.
It says T'Challa's sneakers make noise.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Where after she's like, oh no, they're soundproof, and then when he's running up the planks, there's like, dunk, dunk, dunk.
You can hear him.
Yeah.
And then it says, number 1 is, why wouldn't the CIA just try to arrest Claw? Agent Ross is dragged into a narrative when, all that stuff went down. And Korea, it says, well, this makes sense for the Americans to be interested in Wakanda tech. The CIA could have just tried arresting a recognized terrorist and confiscated the technology. The CIA already had a history of purchasing things from foreign criminals, but going through the whole buy instead of arresting the criminal would only further alienate America from Wakanda.
I guess what I had thought is that it was like they're gonna try and buy it and then like buy it from him and then like bug him, so like trace him, keep a tracer on him and try and follow him and learn more about where he got this tech and everything like that. So not arresting him made sense to me, I guess. Where it's like, it's the CIA.
If he's that, I don't know. I'd just be surprised if he's that careless and because he caused a lot of mayhem really quickly. Mm-hmm. That in that 30 years, he was just a criminal in the underworld. He wouldn't have done something to get their attention that they could have been like, oh yeah, that guy's responsible for that. Like, I don't buy that he stole a bunch of vibranium and then 25 years later went to go sell a stolen other thing of vibranium. Mm. Like, he's got to have been doing shit in between. Even if it's petty criminal stuff like black market, underground, like stealing and selling stuff. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, they probably got a file on him.
Probably. I mean, I guess, did they never... Yeah, they don't say what he's been doing or like how they know him. Oh,
so according to the trivia, it mentions what we talked about. Wakanda was mentioned as a location on the SHIELD monitor in Iron Man 2. The location pinpoints the country as being situated at Lake Turkana, which borders Kenya and Ethiopia. Okay. So, like, if this is Africa, Kenya and Ethiopia are, like, right here. Mm-hmm. The region in real life is special for holding great mineral deposits. Oh.
Okay. So in Iron Man 2, they set this up?
It just says there's a monitor in Iron Man 2 where... I'm not saying they know all the details, but I have a pretty solid belief that the people who are writing all these superhero movies know at least the next couple of where it's going, so they have like to put like Easter eggs in.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. Because, I mean, if you look at upcoming Marvel movies, it goes to like 2020.
Yeah, they know. They know what movies are coming out, even if they don't have them written or cast yet.
Mm-hmm. It's like, we're planning on this coming out, so...
Yeah.
Put some Easter eggs in. Figure it out. Figure it out.
Figure it out. Because they're Canadian.
Yes. Is that all your factoids?
There's some stuff about this movie's been it's one of those movies they've been wanting to make for years. It says that Wesley Snipes wanted to play the Black Panther in the 90s.
Wow.
When Marvel originally approached him with Columbia Pictures with a script. But given the limitations in special effects at the time, Black Panther's suit would basically be a leotard with cat ears. John Singleton was briefly considered as director, but never materialized as Snipes insisted on keeping the story situated in Africa, while Singleton wanted to play the character in the U.S. during the Civil Rights Movement. Ooh. Based on the Wonder Woman in World War I am up for a superhero in any historical period.
It would have made sense if it was in the, like, Civil Rights era.
Yeah.
Like, give them, especially, Like, especially the Killmonger being like, oh no, we need, like, people need this to fight the white people and get our rights and take over.
He has that line where he says there are 2 million people like us around the world that need your help. Was he just referring to black people? Or is he referring to, like, society in general?
No, I think he was thinking of just black people. That's how I took it.
Right? Yeah, so it just never materialized as a movie, which they have done various types of superheroes. There's a couple that they did in the 90s. And yeah, based on technology and, like, I don't want to say people weren't interested as much, but they definitely created a culture where people are way more interested now than they were. Because, like, they did, like, a made-for-TV movie about the Fantastic Four in the mid-90s, and it is terrible. They did a Nick Fury movie, and you know who Nick Fury was? Nick Fury's the one with the eye patch that Sam Jackson plays.
Sam Jackson, yeah.
You know who he was in the TV movie that they made about him in 1997?
John Wayne.
No. David Hasselhoff.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, of course.
But yeah, they had
David Hasselhoff.
But yeah, so I'm glad that they kind of waited with a lot of these movies, because I think that if they had done them earlier, it wouldn't have been...
Definitely not as good. Yeah,
well, a lot of the superhero movies...
Well, I mean, by now they would have just remade them. So
that's true.
Just...
And they did, like Spider-Man, but they didn't even have to
wait
remake
them
long.
all the time, yeah.
They could be in their 3rd generation of Spider-Man in 15 years.
Well, there's already been 1, 2...
Less.
There's been 3 or 4, hasn't there now?
Well, if you count from... So, the first... 2000 is when the first Spider-Man movie came out.
With Tobey Maguire, yeah. I count him as the first.
Yeah, so if that was 2000, then, yeah, like, not quite 20 years. No, yeah, not quite 20 years. Yeah. And they've had 3 separate Spider-Man.
Andrew Garfield.
And the new guy, Tom Holland.
New guy, yeah. So, yeah, there's already been 3.
And, yeah, so that's...
the same story over and over again.
It's always the beginning of him. Like, I applaud the newish one for being like, okay, he's already become Spider-Man, now he's just trying to deal with it.
Yeah.
But even so, it's always, like, him in high school. And I'm like... I mean, there's so much more. If you look at the comic book history of Spider-Man, out of the, let's say, 200 issues, I don't know if that's how many there are, but it's only, like, the first, like, 10 are him in high school. And then he gets out, and he's older.
Graduates.
I think they need to pair him up with Deadpool. Him and Deadpool had a whole comic series together. It's older Spider-Man. You get an older actor who's closer to Deadpool's age. And then that would mean they would interact with the X-Men. I'm sure.
That could be fun.
Well, it's going to change a little bit because Disney bought Fox.
Did they?
Yeah. So there's going to be... So all the stuff that Fox owns separately from Disney are now all together, which means you can... Now, if Disney wanted to put Star Wars and Marvel together, they can. You know what I mean? Like...
Does Disney own Marvel?
They don't own Marvel, but they own a lot of whatever Fox owned of the Marvel universe.
Whatever stocks they
Because Marvel itself doesn't own 100% of all the comics.
Okay.
Which is why they can use characters, but they have to have different actors. Like how the one who runs really fast, not the Flash, because that's DC. Silver
Surfer?
No,
Silver Streaker. Silver.
Okay, you remember the Avengers movie, the first Avengers movie, and the villains are the Scarlet Witch and her brother?
That's not the first Avengers.
The second event. No, yeah, no, you're right. That's
the first Avengers is the aliens.
Okay, then what's the movie with the Avengers and Scarlet Witch and the brother?
The second Avengers, not Civil War, but
there hasn't been a I thought there's only one
because the Scarlet Witch is in Civil War. So Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Okay, you're right. That is the second one.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't. I'm losing it. Okay, so the second Avengers.
They're so interchangeable.
It's Scarlet Witch and her brother.
They're not really the villains, though.
Yeah, but they're in it.
They're in it, yeah.
Right? And her brother dies. Spoiler alert, at the end.
Yes.
And she's mad, but then she goes with them. Right?
Yeah.
That character is the same character that's in the newer X-Men movies, played by the dude from American Horror Story, who they find in Days of Futures Past, and they get him to go in. It's the same character, but it's 2 different actors, and they can't talk about the other universes. Because technically, Scarlet Witch and her brother are the children of Magneto.
Oh.
But they're not allowed to talk about it in the Avengers movies because they don't have rights to the Magneto character because he's an X-Men character who up until recently was owned by Fox.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because the history of the two... What is his name? It's not... Is this Quicksilver.
Quicksilver.
That makes sense. Okay, so Quicksilver...
I was close.
And Scarlet... Yeah. Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are the children of Magneto. He doesn't have any interaction in their life. They don't necessarily know right away that he's their children. Mm-hmm. But that's how it was in the comic series. So which is why he's not mentioned in the Avengers universe. And in the X-Men universe, Quicksilver is a character, and it's alluded that his dad is Magneto, but they never harp on it.
Oh.
And they don't talk about his sister.
Huh.
Because I don't think they have the right to his sister somehow. I don't know how the logistics works. It's way too complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah. That's... So... Okay.
Just like the reason that they had to put two third-rate X-Men in the Deadpool movie. Like, they couldn't put any of the good X-Men in the Deadpool movie.
They didn't have rights to it?
Yeah. And they even have that line about it. He's like, man, it looks like we have, like...
It's weird that there's only two of you in such a big house.
It's like we couldn't get the rights to any other characters or something. He has a line about it.
Yeah, the studio couldn't afford any more X-Men or something.
Which I think is the reason.
Maybe they'd have to pay for it, like the
I was studying,
screen rights
if I was studying copyright law, I bet you could do an entire course in college
just on Marvel.
On just the Marvel comic universe, like on the Marvel universe and how the copyright law of characters work.
There's gotta be, yeah.
It's like a minefield.
Jeez.
And that mine is full of vibranium. Bringing it back around.
Oh, back to Black Panther.
So, obviously, he's going to be in Infinity Wars.
Yep, they said that.
Because everybody is in Infinity Wars.
Yeah, even Guardians.
I want to know if I'm going to imagine it's going to be a 2-hour movie. 2.5 hour, right? Movie. Plus, I'm going to throw it out there and say there's going to be three scenes. One, like, they'll do, like, the end, and then scene. And then part of the credits, and then another scene, and then a scene at the end. Like, after the whole credits have rolled.
Okay, so you think there's going to be 3 scenes?
I think there's going to be at least 3. And I think the scene at the very end is probably not going to be worth sitting through what I imagine is 18 minutes worth of credits for a movie with that many people.
Yeah.
Because that Black Panther credit scenes...
Those were so
They were so long because they filmed in 85 places. Every place you go has to have a different unit of like crew. So when they went and filmed... Even though they filmed literally 2 minutes in South Korea, had to have an entire film crew in South Korea.
Yep.
I'm surprised, based on how many people work on a movie, that statistically, I don't know anybody who works in movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, how is that?
Like, how is it at this point, one of us hasn't gotten a job and working in a movie somehow? Whether we're just the set medics, or the dude who works at the graphic studio. Like, not even, like...
assistant runner, that, like, personal assistant.
I always where it's, like, a production assistant to the crowd, or crowd producer, or crowd assistant. So it's always, like... Oh, so you make sure that everyone who's in a group scene, you just yell at them. Like, okay, now start talking! Like...
Get together, come on!
You're just wrangling extras at that point.
A wrangler, people wrangler.
I always like when they say Mrs. Nyong'o's hairstylist. Or Mr. Bozeman's makeup artist. Where it's always like the actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can't just be like, oh, that's Fran and Trisha, and they're makeup gals.
Yeah.
It's always like every single person has to have their own. I was like, really? It takes that long to do a dude's makeup?
I mean, depending.
I guess.
Depending on for that Michael B. Jordan.
That's
like,
true, they had to put all those
little
pox on his body.
Mm-hmm. Because that was all over his torso, front and back.
Yeah.
So I imagine that took a while.
Yeah. They could have just made less excuse for him to take his shirt off, but who would have been happy with that?
You gotta have a shirtless
Not me.
scene. Handsome man.
Right? Those braids and those big-ass ugly glasses that he's wearing in the first scene. I was like, oh, it's to show that he's smart.
Yep.
Otherwise, he just looked like a regular dude, but he's smart because he got them glasses.
It's like, I'm a nerd. I'm standing here. I have torn clothes, but look what I know.
Yeah, I just poisoned your drink, bitch.
Yeah.
I was wondering why she was drinking coffee. I was like, oh, that must come into play because there would be no reason for her to have that extra prop.
Well, then she was acting weird right away where she was like kind of coughing. I'm like,
yeah.
What's going on?
She made the most of that part.
Yeah. I'm sick.
She just falls over.
Yeah. Do you think she dies? Did
she dead? I'm sure. They left her there and they shot everybody else, so I bet she's dead. I don't think he's going to be the kind of person like, we just need to knock her out. He's just going to be like, no, just put rat poison or arsenic in it or something.
Just kill her. Get her out of the way. She's a bitch
Right?
anyway.
Yeah.
Stuck up bitch.
She clearly thinks I'm going to rob the place because there's 85 guards around here, and I get it's a museum, but you don't need that many guards.
Yeah.
Really?
And they're all looking at me because I'm a black man.
Right?
Obviously, you're suspicious. That's why. But
I'm not saying
that's besides the point.
It's warranted in this particular case, but I can't say that. I had lunch with Sarah and Royal, and of course, Royal, being Royal, was like, I think I got such high ratings because nobody wanted to be that guy. I was like, yeah, you can't really come out and be like, this is terrible, you know.
Like, what? You're a racist.
Yeah, well, probably. It wasn't, okay, so it wasn't, I think it's because I had such high expectations it didn't blow me away. I think if I hadn't heard anything about it at all, it would have. Like, I would have gone and watched it and be like, oh my god, that's amazing. But because I heard it was so good, I was really had high expectations. But I liked it. I still liked it. It wasn't like I went in and was underwhelmed because it had such high ratings.
Oh, I was really, really impressed with it because, well, I didn't research the ratings.
Yeah.
And I've talked to a couple people, but just asked if they liked it.
Yeah.
And heard kind of different things. Like, most everyone liked it, but like my own opinion, when I saw the trailers for it, I was like, I don't know how good this looks.
Really? Because I saw the trailer and I was like, if this movie isn't as good as this trailer, I'm going to be very upset.
Because the trailers were really off-putting to me. Like, I was like, this is either going to be horrible or it's just going to be okay.
I loved the trailers. I liked the use of music in the movie was really good.
It was.
Because they used a lot of traditional African drums and songs and sounds, and they sang and did all the movements during the ceremonies and stuff.
Yeah.
But then every time Michael B. Jordan came out, they switched to kind of modern day music, which I thought was really interesting. I wanted to see more of a meld of the traditional and the modern together.
That'd be neat.
But there wasn't that much time, and he really didn't coexist with that universe very long in retrospect.
Yeah.
He was there very briefly. But yeah, I thought they did a really good job with the music, and I really liked the trailer. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I see a trailer for a movie that's amazing and then the movie is underwhelming. Yeah. I get really mad.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
You made me think this was going to be great based on this trailer, you jerk.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But
I'm definitely like that too, but yeah, no, the trailers for this, I was just like, I don't know what about them. Maybe it's just I couldn't wrap my head around where they had all this technology in Africa or something. I don't know what it was.
I do have.
Where I was like, okay, is this supposed to be traditional? How is it?
They managed to have even if it's just an alien or whatever their thing behind it, something crash landed and causes. I do have normally my qualms about society or movies that are stories that are set in a society where society's broken down, so they're really archaic, but they have really high technology. That's one of the things that bothered me so much about the Hunger Games universe, was I was like, so they to a point where they have to literally fight. Children have to fight for food, yet you have drones and shit. That type of sci-fi element really bugs me. But somehow in this instance it worked because it was supposed to be set in a current modern day universe, and they had a kind of a reason behind why the technology, even though, let's face it, I'm not smart enough to know how much of they could have BS'd the whole thing. You know what I mean? It's like when you watch a medical show and they're like, oh, well, no, it's because this and that inflamed this and the blood in this, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I know nothing. I know nothing about medicine, so you could literally tell me anything, House, and I will believe you. And so it's the same thing. They could have made up anything about the technology, and I'd be like, yeah, it sounds great.
I think
it totally makes sense.
Thinking back to it now, the trailers, I was confused because it made it seem, because it's in Africa and they did a lot of more traditional things, it made it look like it was flip-flopping between being back in the past to being futuristic. So I couldn't quite, from the trailers, I couldn't quite get a grip on what kind of time frame setting this is in. But then, it made, in the movie, it made more sense where it's just this is just tradition. This is Africa. This is what they do. And then there is still, it's the modern world still. Yeah. So that made more sense to me, but yeah.
Well, I think a lot of films, particularly now, like big blockbuster films that take place in multiple places in one film. So you have like these superhero movies or like these action movies like Fast and the Furious and stuff that are like, they take place in different areas of the world, or like there's a reason for them to have to go to like, Korea or blah, all these places. And it plays on this idea that America really doesn't know a lot about these places.
Yeah.
And so they kind of utilize that, I think, to make whatever kind of world they want to. So it's like, or it goes based on old stereotypes that we still kind of think are true. Like, everywhere in Africa is a desert with a woman with a basket on her head walking with a child. And I'm not saying there's probably a fair amount of Africa that's still like that. But there's also places in Africa that look like America. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you go
there's
to
cities.
Yeah, you go to like
yeah.
Johannesburg, and it looks like Chicago. It looks like Detroit. It has cities. It has skyscrapers. Granted, it's obviously a different environment. It's not going to be the same as us. But same thing with like when it takes you to anywhere over in Asia. It's like always the same street.
Fish market, people
yelling things, and there's people everywhere, but somehow they can still have a car chase and not hit anybody.
Yeah, right?
I'm like, no, have you ever seen like actual footage over in places in Asia?
They run people over.
Yeah.
I saw a YouTube, I don't know why I was watching this. I saw a YouTube clip of like this little girl out in the street, and a car just like ran her over, and then like 3 more cars just like run her over. No one at any point stops and says, "Oh, there's a child right there. I shouldn't run her over."
There's so many people that it's an interesting, like, because they're so traditional and aware and like proud and practical in some ways, and totally like bonkers the other.
Yeah.
And I'm not making any judgments. America has our own shit we gotta figure out. And the way we behave towards each other, and how we're like super nice but also terrible to one another. So like I get it.
We have a whole basket case of problems.
But at the same time, I just read an article about how there's this big problem in Japan right now of people jumping in front of cars to try to get money out of people.
Oh,
like it's an epidemic, and it's not even like but they don't want to hurt themselves, and they're not good at it. So like they like all this, you can find like dash cam footage on the internet of like it's a car and they're driving, and they like there's a stoplight, so they're driving 2 miles an hour, and they stop, and the person just jumps on their hood and starts yelling. Like it's really, or they'll like slowly be stopping, and they'll be going like 10 miles an hour, and someone will run out and just lay in the street, and they'll stop the car, and the person will just keep laying there. Like, because they don't want to hurt themselves, but they want to, like, pressure the person into giving them money, so otherwise they tell them they're going to sue them or call the police. But it's become, like, this epidemic, I guess.
So, like,
and I'm like, I wonder what American taught them that. Because that seems like a very, like, ooh, like, crafty, like, I'm going to try to get money out of this. It doesn't seem like it's something that originated there. It
reminds me of character or something in MASH, the series MASH, where they have one episode is this like old guy. He keeps like he'll throw himself in front of cars and stuff to get treatment or money or something out of the soldiers, and they call him like I can't remember what they call him, like road bump Chang or something.
Something I'm sure that's racist now.
Yeah, but it's because they throw himself in front of vehicles all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, he's faking it.
But there's just there's so many people that it's interesting how their society, because we think there's parts of America that have a lot of people. Like you go to like New York City, and there's people everywhere, and it feels like you're on top of each other. That's nothing compared to
China,
to some of these places, and you go and they're just on. We're literally hotels or boxes, just little tiny box sleeping quarters stacked on top of each other,
or like they just like build on top of buildings, and just like.
And they have smog issues, so they're like when there was Industrial Revolution, which is why skyscrapers became a thing, because they wanted to build out of all the smog and industry.
The rich people live above the smog.
Yeah, so they're like, literally, we got to build up because we can't spread out anymore, and it's gross down here, so we want to get up higher. And it's just, I don't like people nearly enough to even consider living in a place like that. And it's nothing against the society or the traditions of the. It's just too many people. Yeah, and definitely. I know they don't behave the same as Americans. Like, there's not as much petty crime over there. Like, you don't have to worry about getting, like, mugged or getting your stuff stolen as much. But there's still, like, every country, the more people you get, the weirder people start to act, and, yeah. I'm not interested.
I think there is something to that, where people living in too close proximity to each other.
Yeah.
You're just like, you don't have your personal space.
Well, that's why they always say New Yorkers are always so mean.
Yeah, they have
yeah, you'd be mad too if there are people everywhere all the time and everything was loud and it smelled like piss everywhere. Like, I'm sure there's lovely parts of it, and I'm sure there's
nice people there,
but at the same time, it's just, I don't know. I like my space too much. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's growing up in the country, but
too much a country gal.
Yeah,
small
it's
town.
the benefit from living in a country that's so large, like. As far as acre, like there's whole parts of our country that are undeveloped.
Yeah.
Which isn't always a common thing for a lot of places. Mm-hmm. So. Anywho. Okay. Black Panther. I liked it.
Speaking of Black Panther, Toby!
Do you know, I heard once that they don't think that panthers are an actual animal. That they are
they're actually like leopards, I think.
They're
they
leopards,
have spots.
but they have higher levels of melatonin in their skin, which is why they're dark. So they're kind of the opposite of an albino.
Oh.
So they're like the spectrum of. That's how the cat shows you love you, by causing you pain.
Yes. I just made a face, and it's because Toby bit me.
And it wasn't at me this time.
You little jerk.
Anyway,
yes.
I'm excited. I like the character. I'm excited to see him come back.
Yes.
Chadwick Boseman be in every Avengers Captain America movie he wants to be in.
See how it progresses. Maybe, well, they've already been filming Infinity.
Yeah, supposedly that's in the can. I don't know if they're doing reshoots or anything, but they hopefully, because it's coming out later this year. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, I wonder if it'll just have him, or it'll like integrate their Wakanda, right?
Yeah, the
Wakanda technology,
right?
And stuff like that. So
because it's supposed to be taking place after, and he supposedly made a statement about how the world should.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was expecting at the end of that when he was letting, they're like, "What? Tell us what about your country that you can have to offer us?" And he smiles and it ends. I almost expected him to do a Tony Stark, I am Iron Man moment.
Yeah.
Where he, like, takes out the vibranium, he's like, bam, this motherfucker, or something, like, and, like, does, but I was like, no, he's smarter than that. He's smarter than Tony Stark.
Yeah. He wants to keep that a little bit more a secret.
Yeah. But anyway.
But, my only qualm with the suit, the technology and stuff like that, is that it was, like, too perfect, too invincible. Where you're getting shot, where, I mean, if he got shot with something, he could still kind of be knocked back.
Yeah. But he uses that energy, though, so he comes back stronger.
Yeah, it's like too impenetrable.
Yeah. And
where there's got to be
he automatically has a benefit because he takes that herb that makes him stronger and more agile and
faster.
So he has that on top of the suit, which I thought was a little, like...
little much.
It's like armor on top of armor. It's like 2 bulletproof glass windows.
Head on a hat.
Yeah, you're like, why would you need that much? Like, yeah, you're right. It's one of those things. They're starting to enter Superman territory.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, he's like, there's no stakes if he's practically invincible unless his suit gets destroyed or he doesn't have it on. Like in the scene or it's disabled, like the scene where they're in the train track or whatever.
Yeah.
But how many situations is he going to be in where his suit's not going to work? Especially since all he has to do is put the necklace on all the time. Mm-hmm. If your suit could literally, he doesn't even have to change. He just puts the necklace on. And bam.
I think they can technically
take the necklace
off and then it'll like deactivate the suit, because when the guards were fighting the new king, they're like, get the necklace. Yeah. So I thought like if they ripped that off of him,
does that mean the suit will work on whoever wears the necklace?
I think so, because it did with him, the new king.
Yeah, he didn't even have to be officially they gave him they buried him in sand and gave him the thing, though, so does he have to have a combination of the herb and the suit?
I don't think so, because, I mean, the suit is really, it's more just, it's armor. It's nothing, there's nothing, like, special abilities about the suit, really. Like, it doesn't make them jump.
Yeah, other than being...
jump higher, jump farther. It's the herb that gives them that, and then the suit is just a protective layering for them.
Right. All right.
But, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They're going to have to do something to make him weak because otherwise he's just invincible and that's not...
I mean, it'll be somewhere where someone just finds the technology to deactivate
like,
the suit.
haha, now
Yeah.
I have a hand warmer that...
Because I think he's still... Because his father, the old king, still died from just a blast.
That's true. He's not, like, invincible out of the suit.
He's not Superman. He can still be killed normally. He just has a little bit more abilities.
So was his father then, who was wasn't old, but he was in his 70s, right? When he dies,
I'd say
60s.
Like
but
60s.
either way, you're telling me that guy with the gray beard was putting on that suit going around town.
Maybe not at that time. Maybe
he was a need for him. But if something had come up, would he been able to
Well, because what's his name? The Black Panther. When his father was still alive, he was still I got the impression that the Black Panther was passed down to him. So
even when his father was alive?
Yeah, when his father was still alive, he was still king, but he let his son take over the Black Panther.
Because he really turned out quick for that fight in that movie. Mm-hmm. His dad dies and he's literally the Black Panther right after.
Yeah, so
they didn't have to bother tailoring the suit or anything.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like he was already the Black Panther.
All right.
And his father just was the king and diplomat and everything.
And he was fine till he came to America. Just saying.
Yeah. Or was he in America?
Oh, I don't
where he
know.
got killed?
He was wherever their thing was.
There's a big blast somewhere. Yeah, I thought it was United Nations in London or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Either way, when he left his country, so I can see why he was so hesitant to help the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't make the movie.
Okay, well we can
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
In vibranium, so it's indestructible.
Yeah. Indubitably. Indubitably, my dear. Thank you for listening.
Until next time.
Zonka, bitches.
Donka, bitches.
I have a horrible accent.
It's better than trying to do a Wakanda voice. And we're not offending anybody.
Yeah.
Don't even bother.
Can't do it.
I never freeze. That's what he said.
I never freeze.
It's hot. What can I say? Damn.
Yeah, he still froze. Like an antelope in the headlights. Instead of deer in the headlights.
Yeah. Deer? What's a deer?
What's an antelope? What? Okay, bye.
Bye.